Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode here on the Darwin's Room channel. Que lo que mi gente del Caribe. If you guys might notice, my background looks a little bit different. That is because my wife and I are currently in the process of moving. So please bear with me as you're gonna see more boxes in the background, less posters and action figures and movie memorabilia and things like that. So bear with me as I'm kind of in the middle of this process, but I still wanna be able to bring you guys some quality movie reviews and my thoughts on some of the latest films. So today we're going to be talking about Highest to Lowest. This movie follows a powerful music executive whose son is kidnapped in a plot for a ransom. This is the 5th collaboration with Spike Lee directing and Denzel Washington starring. I was really excited to be able to go out and watch this movie. However, after having seen the film, I can understand why they maybe didn't want this movie to have a big theatrical release, such as how they did for F1. Because F1 had a big theatrical release, it's a big blockbuster film, and I can see why they did that route. And that one is also from Apple TV. This movie, however, is much smaller than F1, so I can see how after seeing this film, it's not going to be as much of a box office success, and therefore they have a limited theatrical release, and it's going to be mostly on streaming. So that all to say, this is a good movie. However, it is not Spike Lee's best. It's not him and Denzel's best collaboration together, but it's still solid, and I think that it's still worth watching in the movie theater if you have the chance to watch it. In terms of pros, Denzel Washington, he is my favorite actor, hands down. I don't think there's anyone better than him. I love him, and I will watch anything that Denzel Washington does. He's so phenomenal. And so, of course, as you would expect, he is great in this movie. He really dives into this role of this music executive that came from the bottom, and now he's extremely successful, but you can see some of that pride beginning to eat at him as he struggles with a moral dilemma that takes place within the story. And he is matched extremely well with Jeffrey Wright, who is another phenomenal actor. I do not think he gets enough credit. I know a lot of people like Jeffrey Wright, but I want to see him get even more credit because he's so incredible in this film. I do wish he had a little bit more to do because him and Denzel have excellent chemistry. I like their characters. They're very likable. They work well together. But I also felt as if there wasn't enough background given to their characters, and therefore their development felt stunted, which creates moments that feel as if they're supposed to be a lot more emotionally impactful. You're supposed to resonate with it a little bit more, and it never quite gets there, and it almost feels forced in some ways. But I truly did love these themes that the film and that the story was perpetuating on passion and pride and what are the important things in life and how fame could potentially corrupt those elements and how something can start as an innocent passion but go too far. And so I really appreciated how it explored this as well as the social commentary. There is some really impressive commentary interwoven throughout the course of the film that I think Spike Lee marvelously integrated through his direction. I also really appreciated the visuals. I like how the film takes place in a real setting in real New York, and it just adds to the overall atmosphere of the film, which looks beautiful. Visually, it is a really nice film to look at. And on top of that, this movie is simply easy to watch. It's more of a mellow crime drama. And when I say mellow, I really do mean mellow because it's not intense, it's not edge of your seat, nail biting, or anything like that. It's a very relaxed film that takes its time with telling this story. And not a whole lot goes on. It's not a very eventful film. So I can see how for some people that is going to sit with them the wrong way and they're not going to appreciate this film as much. And therefore, which is why I mentioned earlier, I can see why Apple didn't want this to have a big theatrical release because it's, I guess, for some people, not that kind of movie. I still recommend going to the theater because I want to support movie theaters, but I can see why some people might skip this one and I understand Apple TV's thought process behind it. But nonetheless, it's really mellow, it's really relaxing to watch, it's just easy to watch. And I was enjoying myself the whole time, and it feels very humorous at times, and it's very well done. However, in terms of some of the other cons that I had with the film, the supporting actors were really tough. I was not impressed with the talent. Unfortunately, I don't want to be critical or too disrespectful, but I was really disappointed with the performances that I was seeing from everyone outside of Denzel Washington and Jeffrey Wright. They were fantastic. Of course, they're leading the film. But everyone else, it felt like they were trying too hard to match what Washington and Wright were bringing to the table, and they simply weren't meeting it. And I think it's because they were trying too hard. And I think that Spike Lee should have shouted cut, cut the scene, and helped to direct them a little bit better and give a better and stronger performance. And if they weren't going to be able to, then maybe this movie should have been casted with different actors in those roles, because I was really disappointed by the supporting actors in this film, unfortunately. I loved the music, soundtrack, and the score of the film. Sonically, I enjoyed what I was hearing. However, I did feel that some of the sound design sounded really cheap and flat, and I was confused because, again, the music is great, the score is great, but the quality of what I was hearing felt cheap, and it felt like it didn't match with the film and with what I was watching. So I don't know if it was maybe just my movie theater in specific, but the sound design was really choppy and not so great, and it made it hard to really get into the film because some elements were quiet while some were loud, and it didn't blend well together, and I thought that was a bit unfortunate. In terms of other issues, some of the editing felt choppy, and it felt as if they were trying to blend sequences into one another that didn't quite fit. For example, there is a brief moment at the end of the film, or towards the end of the film, with a sort of music video dream type sequence, and it felt shoehorned in. I don't understand why it was there. I'm sure maybe there was a deeper meaning to it, but I simply don't think it worked. Other than that, as I mentioned, the movie is very mellow, so it's enjoyable in that way. However, the writing is pretty flat and feels formulaic at times and very convenient in other moments as well. And the writing issue comes all the way down to the antagonist. I felt that there simply was not enough motive for the antagonist to be doing what they were doing. I didn't really buy into it. It felt a bit silly, and I wasn't impressed with how they handled the antagonist character. But nonetheless, those are my thoughts on this movie with the pros and the cons. I think that I do have more pros for this film. However, there is an extensive list of cons that I was noticing in terms of, I guess, some of the more technical elements of the project. So for the 5th collaboration of Denzel Washington and Spike Lee working together, I'm going to give highest to lowest a 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this movie. I think it would be a solid guilty pleasure. I think I can see why some people would appreciate it a lot, and I can see how some people would be severely disappointed in it. I do wish that there was a little bit more focus on the passion for music, because it feels like a foundational piece of the story that was written that gets sidelined and forgotten in the 2nd and 3rd act when it's focusing more on some of the ransom issues and everything that happens after that. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into the Darwin's Room channel. I really appreciate all of your guys' support as always. Feel free to please like and subscribe to the channel so that you can continue to get more reviews just like this one. I'm also gonna go see Nobody 2 here pretty soon, and a couple of other films are in the pipeline for me to watch, such as Honey Don't. So please expect more reviews coming soon. Like and subscribe. Take care, and God bless you.